Hello everyone, it's Christy, and today's video is going to be a little bit different. Today I'm going to be doing a story time video with you guys, and this is going to be about the time I went to try a horse to buy. It was about the end of February last year, like the last weekend of February. I had been messaging back and forth with this girl who was selling a thoroughbred off the track. I think he was 5 or 6 years old. His name was Jet, and she had sent me pictures of him from the previous summer when he was at a really good weight. You know, he didn't have a winter coat. He looked fabulous. Like, he looked amazing, and I fell in love with him, which was stupid. She told me all these really great things about him, how quiet he was, how calm he was. He was 17 hands, at least 17 hands, so he was a big boy, but that's what I'm looking for. He was expensive. He was $5,000, which is expensive to me. I know it's not to a lot of people, but she was willing to do a lease to buy, or like a payment plan. So basically I would like lease him, and every lease payment would go towards his sale amount, and then once I had paid off the full $5,000, he would be mine, which to me was like the best thing ever, because that way I wouldn't have to, you know, I have quite a bit of money saved up, but that $5,000 would pretty much wipe it out, and I wanted to have, you know, money on hand in case something happened, you know, if there was an emergency. So that lease to buy situation was very, very appealing to me. My mom, she really wasn't, she didn't want to go see this horse at all. Like, she thought 5,000 was way too much, despite of how pretty he was, how nice he was from his videos. He was a beautiful mover. Looking back, he really wasn't a hunter type of horse. He was definitely more of like a jumper or event horse, just the way he moved. But you know, I fell in love with his pictures, and I was like dead set on going to see this horse. So last minute on a Sunday afternoon, we drove 2 hours to Pennsylvania, to where his barn was, to go try him. And I should have known from the get-go that it wasn't going to be a good day, because we couldn't find the place that he was boarded at. We were late for our appointment to go see him. I think it took us almost 45 minutes to find the place, because the girl who was selling the horse had just moved to the area, and the directions she gave us were terrible. And when I called her, I was like, we're lost, we can't find the place. She couldn't tell us like where to go from where we were. So that should have been a big, you know, red flag for us. But we finally arrived, and we get there, and of course he's not in the barn. He was still out in the field, and the girl who was selling him was working. So we had to wait for her to finish bringing in all the other horses, and then she brought Jet in last. And the moment I saw him, my heart kind of dropped, because the pictures of the horse that she sent me looked nothing like this horse that was standing in front of me. He was skin and bones. He was very, very skinny. He had a very long, woolly winter coat, which is fine. You know, horses get winter coats. I don't have a problem with that. He was filthy. You know, to me, it just wasn't a very good presentation. You know, if you're selling a horse for $5,000, that horse should already be in the barn. He should be groomed. He should look clean and presentable, in my opinion, anyway. You know, so she put him in the cross ties and gave me grooming supplies and told me to have at it. So I spent maybe 10 minutes or so by myself with my mom and my aunt watching, grooming him. And, you know, he'd been off the track for 6 months at least at this point, and he was like a nervous wreck in the cross ties. He could not stand still. He was constantly dancing back and forth, which I know TBs are prone to do because they're not really cross tied at the track. So, you know, he was moving all over. He was a nervous wreck. I was a nervous wreck. And his owner got on him, and she rode him for maybe, I don't know, 15 minutes or so. And so their indoor has doors on it, and she closed a couple of the doors so that there wasn't light streaming in, but there was also windows. And there was one window on the far side of the arena that had light streaming in. I know horses can sometimes be funny about that kind of thing, but, you know, he kind of looked at it the first time she went by, and she kind of tried to explain it away as he hasn't been ridden in the indoor during the daytime because she works, and normally she rides him at night, which to me seemed kind of bogus because you can't always, you know, like, there has to be times when you have days off when you come during the daytime. But, you know, he only really looked at it once, and then she walked, trot, cantered. She popped him over a few small jumps. He knocked almost every jump, and she just said, oh, it's because they're little, you know, he doesn't really try over small fences. And I was just like, oh, whatever, you know, I know some horses are like that. They don't really pick their feet up over a 2-foot fence. So I didn't really think anything of it. So she gets done, and I get on. I switched saddles because I was using my saddle on him. So I put my saddle on. I mount up, and I was like, my first impression when I first sat on him, I was very impressed because I know a lot of thoroughbreds walk off when you're mounting, but he stood there like a rock. Like, he did not move until I asked him to. So the mounting block was in the center of the arena, kind of down towards the end where that window was. So I don't, you know, his owner had literally just ridden him by this window a dozen times, and he looked once at the very beginning, but after that he didn't take a peep. So I didn't think anything of it. So I was just walking him towards the rail on a loose rein. I was not even asking him to do anything. You know, we walked straight to the rail, and then he turned left to go onto the rail, and the sunlight from that window streaming in hit his eye, and he just lost his mind. He spooked. I do have it on video. I probably won't be able to add it to this. Maybe I'll try to post it by itself so you can kind of see. But he spooked forward, and I lost my balance, but I stayed on, and then he whirled, and I fell off. I landed really hard on my left hip and my lower back, and I laid there for a good 5 minutes because I thought I had broken my back. I was in extreme pain. I couldn't breathe because I had the wind knocked out of me. You know, when I fell, the horse ran off, so the owner was trying to catch him to make sure that he didn't run me over. My mom and my aunt, of course, came running, and they took my helmet off, and I was like so concerned about my new helmet being broken. That was like the first words out of my mouth, like, oh, is my helmet okay? Is my helmet okay? Which is silly. But they were asking me questions like, are you okay? Like, what hurts? And I was just, my lower back was in excruciating pain. Like, it was honestly the worst pain that I've ever been in. I really should have gone to the emergency room to have x-rays, but at the time, we couldn't afford an ER visit because they're very, very expensive where I live, and we don't have the greatest insurance. So I didn't go to the ER, which was stupid because I probably did some damage to my back or to my hip at the very, I didn't break my hip, I know that much, because I don't think I would have been able to walk. But I may have like fractured a disc or something, I don't know, but it hurt a lot. Safe to say, I did not get back on. I did not buy the horse, obviously. And my mom and my aunt finally got me to sit up, and I was literally wheezing for breath, like I could not breathe. And that was also freaking me out because if you ever not been able to breathe, it's a very scary experience. So, you know, I was sitting on the ground in so much pain, wheezing for breath. My mom's freaking out. You know, of course, all I'm thinking is she was right. We shouldn't have come. Like, this was a bad idea. Like, she was so right. So pro tip, listen to your mom, kids. Listen to your mom. So they finally get me to sit on the mounting block, and I probably sat in the arena for 10 minutes, just like catching my breath until I could actually like breathe normally. In the meantime, the girl, she was probably younger than me, maybe my age. I'm 23 now. I was 22 at the time. So she was probably, I don't know, 20, 21. I think she was just kind of shocked at what had happened. She'd never had me sign a waiver or anything. So the only thing I can imagine is that she was thinking that we were going to sue her or something for me getting hurt while riding her horse. We didn't do that, of course, because, you know, accidents happen. She didn't say a word to me. She never asked me if I was okay. We grabbed my saddle off of the horse, and my mom or my aunt took it to the car, and then she came back, and both my mom and my aunt had to help me walk out to the car. I sat in the front seat of the car. I was in excruciating pain the whole 2 hours home, in tears, and I don't really cry. I mean, I cry when I'm very upset, but I've never cried because I was in pain. So that was a first for me. And then as we were driving away, the girl texted me, and she's like, I forget exactly what she said. I don't think she apologized. I think she just said, maybe she did say, sorry about what happened. He's not a spooky horse. Good luck finding a horse. And I was like, are you for real right now? Like, you're blaming this on me? I didn't even do anything. I literally sat on the horse for maybe 10 seconds. I didn't ask him to do anything. I didn't ask him to trot. I was on a loose rein. I had literally just sat on the horse's back. And whether he just didn't like me, or he was trying to see what he could get away with, I don't know. I worked with baby warm bloods a few years ago who spooked a lot, so I got pretty good at sitting a spook. But I don't even think a pro could have sat what this horse did. At first, I don't think he was trying to get me off, but then once he felt me lose my balance, he was like, oh, I can get this person off of me. I'm going to do whatever I have to get this person off. So, we drove away. By the time we got back home, I was still in a lot of pain. I put some ice on my back, and my mom gave me a whole bunch of, aspirin. I didn't go to work the next day, but I did go to work the following day because I only had a few days left because my contract was ending, and I wanted to get as much pay as I could. So that was not a fun week. I was okay when I sat down, as long as I sat in a certain position, but standing up was excruciating, and especially if I had been sitting down for a while, standing up was very painful, and walking was pretty painful. And this injury happened at the very end of February, the beginning of March, and I will say it probably took until May for me to not feel any pain. So that was probably the worst fall I've ever had, or one of the worst falls I've ever had. And the girl took the horse off the market, and I didn't hear from her ever again. I happened to see her Instagram account over the summer, and I asked her if he was still for sale, just out of curiosity, maybe he had sold. And she's like, no, I'm competing him this summer, and then maybe I'll list him up for sale in the fall. I never saw him posted anywhere again. I don't know if she's trying to sell him. I really don't care. That horse was a psycho. He definitely needed a lot more work. Like, he was not at the point where she should have been asking $5,000 for him, in my opinion. You know, like, I've never, ever in my life had a horse try to get me off like that within moments of mounting. Like, that has never happened to me. You know, normally when I've fallen off, it was because, like, halfway through our ride, the horse spooked, or something happened, like a horse like tripped over a jump and I fell off. That's happened before. But I've never had to deal with a horse spooking upon mounting. So that was a very interesting experience. It's kind of turned me off buying a horse, not buying a horse, but like going and trying horses that I don't know. So I'm actually leaning towards buying a horse fresh off the track. I don't know, that's kind of, you know, like the same, but I feel like if I buy a horse fresh off the track, then I kind of have a clean slate, and I can bring in, you know, a professional, or my trainer can help me. I don't know. I can't afford to go and try a horse and fall off and break a limb and go to the emergency room. Like, I just can't afford that at this point. I actually fell down the stairs in December and almost broke my ankle, and I went to the ER, and I was there for at most 2 hours. They did 2 x-rays, and it cost us $3,000. So that was fun. My mom's like, you better not fall off of a horse anytime soon, young lady. So I haven't really ridden. It is currently March 21st. I have ridden 2 times this year, which sucks. I am going to hopefully be trying a horse this week for a half lease. But it's currently Wednesday and it's snowing out, and we're supposed to get 18 inches. So hopefully my street will be plowed by Friday. Hopefully. So that is the story of how I broke my hip, which is clickbait, I know, but that's what I'm going to title this video because I think it's fun. I also have a couple other story times that I might want to tell today because, you know, it's snowing out, so I'm not really doing anything today. So if that's why I'm wearing the same clothing, then you know why. So I hope you enjoyed this story time. And please let me know if you guys have any experiences of things that have gone wrong when you have gone to try a horse to buy or to lease. I would really enjoy hearing your stories. Thanks for watching. Bye.